10 Best Rock and Roll Museums in the USA. Having a good time. Rock and roll is more than just music, it's a cultural phenomenon that has shaped generations. And what better way to experience that history than by visiting a rock and roll museum? Here are the top 10 rock and roll museums in the United States that you won't want to miss. Enjoy! The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. This world-renowned museum features exhibits on the biggest names in rock and roll history, from Elvis Presley to the Beatles. The Grammy Museum in Los Angeles, California. This museum offers a behind-the-scenes look at the Grammy Awards and the music industry, with interactive exhibits and artifacts from some of the biggest names in music. The Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum in Nashville, Tennessee. This museum celebrates the history of country music, from its roots to its modern-day superstars. The Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle, Washington. This museum features exhibits on popular culture, including rock and roll, with a focus on the Pacific Northwest music scene. The Experience Music Project Museum in Seattle, Washington. This museum offers interactive exhibits on rock and roll, hip-hop, and other genres of popular music. The Southern Museum of Music in Macon, Georgia. This museum celebrates the rich history of music in the American South, including rock and roll. The Sun Studio in Memphis, Tennessee. This historic recording studio was the birthplace of rock and roll, and visitors can take a tour and see where legends like Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash recorded their music. The Hard Rock Cafe in Hollywood, California. This popular restaurant and bar also features a museum with exhibits on rock and roll history, including a collection of guitars and other instruments played by famous musicians. The Rock and Roll Museum in Cleveland, Ohio. This museum features exhibits on rock and roll history, including a collection of instruments and memorabilia from famous musicians. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Annex in New York City. This museum features exhibits on rock and roll history, including a collection of instruments and memorabilia from famous musicians. So, whether you're a die-hard fan or just curious about the history of rock and roll, these museums are a must-visit for any music lover. And in the meantime, keep rocking.